It was almost 2 a.m. when I heard her taxi pull up. She always came home late, and even though I knew I shouldn't be watching, I did. My curtains were drawn tight enough that not a single spark of light escaped. I doubted she could see me anyway. Not that she'd care. She worked nights, moved with confidence, and never seemed bothered by who might be watching. She lived her life like someone who didn't expect the world to look away. There goes her living room light. There she is. She looked exhausted tonight, still stunning, still put together, still glowing in that effortless way some people have without trying. She pushed her hair off her face and stared out the window for a moment, like she was trying to make sense of the night she'd just had. For a second, her eyes passed right over my window. My heart jumped. But she didn't react. To her, I was invisible. She moved across her apartment, pacing, thinking, maybe unwinding. I could see into her kitchen clearly. Her place had angles and reflections that bounced the view around her apartment like a maze of mirrors. From where I sat, I could see more than she probably realized. The kitchen. The couch. Even a slice of her bedroom if the door was open. She poured herself something warm, tea or coffee, then leaned against the counter, rubbing her temples. She looked tired in a way that made me wonder how many people ever noticed. How many people she talked to about nights like this. She kicked off her shoes and walked to the couch, curling up with a blanket. Her apartment looked so peaceful when she settled like that, tucked in, breathing slow, staring out the window into nothing. She tied her hair back and began massaging her feet, small circles with her thumbs, slow and rhythmic. She moved absent-mindedly, like someone going through motions they've repeated every night for years. She seemed soft, gentle, almost delicate compared to how confident she looked outside. Her style was unmistakably feminine, soft colors, little touches of pink, the kind of details you noticed only if you paid attention. And I did. Maybe too much. Her phone buzzed somewhere off-screen. She ignored it. Instead, she got up, washed the mug, and wandered toward her bedroom. Then she shut the door. But I could still see her in the mirror above the dresser, just enough to catch the outline of her taking off her makeup, slow and careful, like she was peeling off the last layer of her workday. She always did it with almost ritual precision. She looked different after, softer, younger, more real. She stared at herself for a long moment. She seemed to do that every night. Maybe checking in with herself, or maybe trying to recognize the person she had to be for everyone else. Then she started to unwind, stretching her arms above her head, rolling her shoulders, shaking tension from her body. For a second, it almost looked like she was swaying to music in her mind, some slow rhythm only she could hear. She moved with this quiet, private confidence, like someone performing for nobody but herself. Like she was practicing being okay with who she was. I shouldn't have been watching. I knew that. But I couldn't stop. She was right there, living a life I could see but never touch, moving through routines that felt intimate only because I was intruding on them. And she had no idea I'd been watching her this whole time. She stood there for a long moment, staring at her reflection, hesitating. You could practically see the debate happening behind her eyes, stay wrapped in the comfort of routine, or peel away the last layer of her long night. Her fingers traced slow shapes over her stomach, thoughtful and absent-minded. She fiddled with her belly button ring, the metal catching the warm light of her room. She looked restless, tired, unsure. Should I call her now? Should I wait? No, I'd wait. The curtains were still open. I still had a view. She finally made up her mind. She slid her hands down the sides of her legs, hooking her thumbs under her tights and easing them downward with a practiced wiggle. The fabric stretched, loosened, and slowly rolled down the length of her legs. Her legs were always the first thing anyone noticed, toned, smooth, undeniably graceful. Even exhausted, her movements had a kind of quiet elegance to them, like she'd spent years performing in front of mirrors. She stepped out of the tights and stood tall again, giving herself another once-over in the mirror. Turning left, turning right, checking her profile, brushing her hair back, adjusting the straps of her top. She always evaluated herself as if preparing for a show no one else knew about. She exhaled slowly, long, deliberate, and then reached behind her to undo her bra. She removed it calmly, almost mechanically, like someone relieved to finally be done with a uniform. But she stayed mostly turned away, letting the mirror show only hints and shapes rather than anything explicit. Just suggestion. Just outlines. She rubbed her shoulders, her arms, her upper chest, easing out tension from a long night's work. It looked more like a tired person winding down than anything else. Eyes closed, head tilted back slightly, simply trying to relax. She really did look drained. She'd worked hard tonight. Too hard. And the moment she closed her eyes, I felt my own nerves spark. I needed to hear her voice again. It had been a week since last time. Before I could stop myself, my fingers dialed her number. Her phone lit up. She froze mid-movement, startled. Then she walked slowly, cautiously, to the living room. Even half-dressed, even tired, she still carried herself with that natural confidence. She picked up the phone and lifted it to her ear. "Hello," she said, scanning the room with tired suspicion. Her voice had that soft, late-night rasp, half sleepy, half wary. I swallowed, suddenly unable to speak. I hadn't planned what to say. I just needed to hear her. "Who is this?" she asked, annoyed but not afraid. "Do you know what time it is?" She placed one hand on her hip, the other holding the phone loosely, waiting for an explanation. I couldn't give her one. I froze, breathing, listening, trying to form words, but failing. "Hello," she repeated, sharper this time. "If this is some kind of joke, I'm hanging up." Her tone was confident, steady, not the tone of someone who knew she was being watched. Not yet. I wanted to speak, to say anything, but nothing made it past my throat. Just one breath. Just 1 second more. She lowered the phone slightly, exhaled in frustration, and waited. And I stood there in the dark, unable to tell whether I wanted to reach out or disappear forever. "Look, I've had a long day at work," she sighs into the phone, exhaustion softening her voice. "I just want to get out of this outfit and sleep, so I'm going to hang up now, okay?" I watch from across the street as she shifts her weight, absent-mindedly tugging at the fabric on her hip, restless, impatient, ready to be done with the night. I panic. I need to keep her talking. Saw you dance, I say, trying to sound normal, but my voice comes out strained and shaky. Her head tilts with confusion. Even from here I can see that small motion. "How did you get this number?" she asks. Her voice isn't angry, just puzzled. Tired. Silence. I can't bring myself to answer. "Okay, whoever you are," she lets out a dry laugh, half annoyed, half humored. "You can come watch the show at the club like everyone else, but no weird calls, all right? Don't do this again." She shakes her head, smiling despite herself, like she's dealing with someone who's more hopeless than threatening. "Sorry," I manage to whisper. "It's fine," she says, shrugging. "Fans are fans. Just keep it normal next time. I only dance. That's it. You get me. I get you." She hangs up. I look up just in time to see her walking toward her window. No, she's reaching for the blinds. One last look, tired eyes, loose hair, the soft glow of her bedroom behind her, and the curtains fall shut, cutting me off. The room goes dim, her silhouette disappearing behind the fabric. And, just like that, the night show ends. Sometimes I stay awake just in case she forgets and opens them again. She never does. Her light stays on for hours, shadows moving across the walls. I'll never know what she does after the curtains close. But I imagine. Her POV, YouTube safe rewrite. I pull down the blinds with a firm tug. That guy across the road watches sometimes. I'm not stupid. And that phone call? Could it have been him? Creepy, sure. Hitchcock-level creepy. But I've dealt with worse. I wipe sweat from my forehead and exhale. I love performing, but the routine always leaves me overheated and tired. I grab the waistband of my costume and slide it down. It feels good to finally breathe. This outfit looks great from the outside, but is a sauna on the inside. I stand in front of the mirror, examining the transformation. Every curve, every angle, all part of the character I play. "Barbie," I say under my breath, using the bubbly stage voice I've practiced for years. Time to clock out. I reach up and undo the clasp behind my head. My long blonde hair loosens and then lifts entirely off. I place the wig carefully on the stand beside me. My real hair, short, dark, messy, springs free. The dressing room lights hum softly as I flick on the table lamp and lean close to the mirror. "Goodbye, Barbie," I whisper. I slide my fingers along the seam at the edge of my face prosthetic. A soft peeling sound fills the quiet room as the latex loosens and the painted, sculpted mask folds away. Underneath, my real skin, flushed from heat, free at last. I gently set the mask on the mannequin. Without the costume face staring back, the room feels strangely calm. Next comes the bodysuit. I reach down, find the concealed zipper along the side, and loosen the edges of the seams around my torso. A slow, practiced motion. The padded curves slide downward inside the costume, brushing my skin as they release. The entire outer layer, the glossy artificial shape, comes free from my body, like shedding another person. I pull my arms out, step through the opening, and fold the suit neatly. My real frame is slimmer, bonier, completely different from the character I perform as. The contrast always startles me. I towel off the sweat, breathing deeply as the cool air hits my skin. Tomorrow, I'll be just me again, the student with morning classes and normal problems. But tonight? Tonight Barbie is gone, stored away with the wigs, the silicone padding, the false lashes, the costume curves, and the Valley Girl voice. I chuckle softly as I turn off the light. If that guy across the street only knew the truth.